What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you all about outgrowing your old friend group. Now, I got inspired to, make this video after an interaction I had with one of my old friends while I was working over winter break. And I'm just gonna get started with the story. So, winter break, I was working at this retail job. It was my second day, in fact, and I only stayed there for a week, so I might tell the story about uh how I left and the job itself and what they had me doing. But anyways, it was my second day there. I was just working the register. I see somebody who looked oddly familiar come in. Oh, and mind you, I haven't seen this person since we graduated high school, which was like 4 or 5 years. Like, it's about to be nearing 5 years at this point. So I haven't seen this guy since I went to his graduation party almost 5 years ago. So I see him. I'm like, is that so and so? But I'm kind of just like on the register, just doing my thing, stalking stuff too. So I'm just like, I'm just kind of in my own world. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, this guy looks oddly familiar. And let me also say this: I stay and I was in the job. I was working a job in my city, and my city is it's very small. So like every day I was working there, like I was seeing somebody like brand new. So, or I was seeing not somebody brand new, but I was seeing somebody that I either they were like a principal or like an old teacher, like an old classmate, or like I played sports with them or whatever. Like it was like that. Like I would see somebody I knew like every freaking day, like no exaggeration. Like, which is one of the reasons I quit. Like I don't know, I just hate seeing people that like I know. But and this story is exactly why. So I'm just doing my thing, and I notice he's about to come up to the register in order to check out. So I'm like, all right, I'll take you on, this register over here to the left. And then I'm still like, is that so and so? And then I go to the register, get ready to start checking him out, and then I look and we make eye contact. I'm like, yo, this is actually him. Like this is so and so. So I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like what you been up to? Things like that. And he was talking to me, telling me, how things been, glad to see you're doing well, all that stuff. But there was just this tone. Well, not really tone, but like you can kind of get a vibe that like the feeling, like how excited I was to see him for the first time in nearly 5 years wasn't the exact same feeling for him. Like it was kind of just like, oh yeah, buddy, I went to school with. And I would say for the record, like he was one of my like closer friends. And I'll get to that specific statement, a closer friend statement, in a bit. But I would say like he was definitely one of my closer friends. Like I went over to his house like a couple, well, I think it was just like once, but I went over to his house, met his family, all that jazz. So I was close enough to get the house invitation for the birthday. I was close enough for that. So I just felt like, like, have you ever, like, that one meme? Have y'all ever seen the one meme where it's like, oh, you revisit your old city and then you run into your old friend working at like McDonald's or some shit. Like it was kind of like that meme personified, like in real life. But I never thought that I would be on like the receiving end of that. Like that's kind of how like it was. That's kind of like what the vibes were giving off. It's like, bro, like I haven't seen you in 5 years and you're like working at this place. So it's just like I was starting to get that vibe. So I was just started telling them like, no, like I'm here for like I'm here for like school and stuff. Like, well, I'm here just to help pay for my tuition for school. I plan on graduating, like next semester, aka this semester. Um, in May. So I'm just like, okay, I just need like a little bit of extra money to help pay for my tuition, also like my car and things like that. So yeah, it's like not really a job I'm taking too seriously or anything. I'm just, here for some extra, bread during the winter break. And then he started to open up a little bit. I'm like, nah, bro, no way it was really like that. Like, nah, bro. So like, and it's not really like that it hurt like too crazy bad, because people grow apart, people have their own lives and things like that. But I don't know, it was just the fact that like the interest wasn't aligned. Like like the how interested I was to reconnect wasn't like his same level. So it was just like, damn, like that shit really made me like sit back after you left. I'm just like, yo, that interaction was definitely not something I was expecting. Like it really like just caught me off guard. But at the end of the day, I can't really be mad because it's just life, bro. Like it's just life. Like it's just what happens. Like people just grow, and people just have like let people meet other people. People venture off. All that jazz. So I wasn't really too mad at it at the end of the day, but like I said before, it was just it was just something that I just wasn't really expecting. But on the flip side, this is what I will say. So going back to the older or back to the closer friend statement that I said, back in high school, like I was the person that was in multiple different friend groups, but I wasn't really too close with with anybody in the other friend group. So like for example, like if I were to hang out with one friend group, right? Like I wouldn't be the closest person to anybody in said friend group. And I was in like I would say like three friend groups. I was in like three friend groups I can kind of think of off the top of my head. So in those three friend groups, I just wasn't the closest person to like anybody. Like all of like my closest friends from each of the friend groups, they had somebody that was closer to them. So it was just like it didn't really hit me until after high school because I'm just while in school you're just with these people just because you all have to be in school. So it's just easy just to exist around each other and just form some type of bond through that alone. But it's like whenever you graduate, life starts moving fast, things like that. It's really just the amount of effort that you have to put in to keep those friendships. I just don't think I was ready for that just yet because I'm also like extremely introverted and quiet in real life. So that really like caught me off guard. So I wasn't really expecting to having to reach out all the time to these people, and like really just having to work like 10 times hard to keep that same connection I would just have with them by literally just existing in the same space as them. Like I just wasn't prepared for that. So it didn't hit me until after high school. I believe it was around 2022. So it was like my first year out of high school, and I was having this conversation and my mom while we were like driving somewhere, and she was just like, so how come you don't really like speak to any of like your old high school friends? Like every time I ask you how they're doing, like you either don't really know, or you say you only talk briefly, you don't really hang out with them anymore. Like why is that? And I was just like, I really had to sit back and ponder. I was just like, I I just I it's just so hard to just reconnect because everybody just has something going on. Like everybody's busy. Also, not to mention like a good majority, like at least half of my friends now, like high school friends, like they have kids and stuff. Like I have kids and like, well, I don't know about like wives, but they have kids. So their priorities are definitely their priorities have definitely changed since back when we were kids, just just doing our thing. But it's really difficult for us to like reestablish ourselves as friends because it's just like I just wasn't too close to them, like and it was just something I just had to realize. Like I was kind of, well, I'm gonna make a whole different video about this, but I really do, like, I know I was like the token black guy. Like I was really like the only black guy. Well, I mean, there was like like I had like a friend group that was like mostly Negro. No, I'm playing. But I had a friend group that was mostly black, and that's probably the one I still like talk to the most, like to this day. But anyways, like I was really like in my like other friend groups, I was really like the token black guy. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like I was just kind of there just to just to be like the punching bag and things like that. Which is why I'm not too mad at being away from them, just because I just don't think they just weren't really the best they just weren't really the best people to be around, if I'm just being like totally honest, which sucks to say because I was like semi close with like a couple of the ones that would do that, but it's just like one of those things. I just have to just protect my peace, things like that. So it's really no hard feelings at the end of the day, but I realize how I used to be treated back then. So that is a part of the reason why I just don't really want to like reconnect with some of them, just because I don't know if they've changed or they still on the same type of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare type of lobby behavior. Like I don't really, I'm just not interested in seeing if they've matured mentally past 16. I'm just being honest. So that definitely was like a bigger reason, but I didn't really start like thinking that way until after the conversation with like my mom, because she really just opened up just like a whole nother like side of the conversation for me. It's like, why wasn't I so close to these people? And then I started thinking back as to why, and then I came to that conclusion. I was just the token black guy, bro. But yeah, I guess that's really it for this video. That experience was like 2 to 3 weeks ago, I believe. So not too long ago, but I don't know. That job was just crazy. Yo, let me know if y'all want a story time on, just me working at that job. Me quitting in 6 days technically, because they had me working 6 days straight my first week. 6 days straight my first week, and then I did a closing shift and then an opening shift the next day. Nah, y'all got me effed up, man. Man, oh my gosh. Don't let these corporations run all over you, man. Do not let these, especially if you work somewhere like retail or fast food or like any place like that where it's quote unquote unskilled work or whatever, because they will try and take advantage of you at any point. Especially, oh my gosh, especially if they are also low staffed. Like that is the absolute worst. Like they literally had me unloading a 350 package truck by myself. Well, I won't say by myself the entire time, but there were moments where I did have to do that shit by myself because it was just so freaking busy there, and I just couldn't do it. But anyways, enough about that. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure like, comment, and subscribe. On the road to 10 subs, man, I do want to make like a New Year's resolution type of video. I may actually make that after this, but I don't know. It's like 6 days, and I guess it's never too late, but I better get on that if I want to do that. But anyways, if you like this video, be sure to just leave a comment too, man. Say you enjoyed this video. But anyways, peace.